Well, most politicians, they dread even mentioning the possibility of higher taxes. But some Democrats, they're trying a new strategy. During the congressional recess, they're using town hall meetings to say that raising taxes, especially on the rich, might be a good idea. But are average Americans listening to the message? Time for a fair and balanced debate. Justin Sayfie, a former spokesman for Jeb Bush, and David Mercer, former deputy finance director for the DNC, join us. Thanks for joining us.
Pleasure to be with you.
So Democrats, apparently they're calling this Accountability August, and they're running the gamut. But usually politicians, like we've said, they try to stay away from taxes, especially when they're talking about raising taxes. So, Justin, I'll begin with you. Do you think this is a good strategy?
I think it's a remarkable strategy in that with 14 million Americans out of work, another 9 million underemployed, that the Democrats are taking this congressional recess to try to convince America that Washington needs more tax revenue. Secondarily, I'm just baffled at this class resentment, this class warfare strategy they seem to be taking on at a time when all Americans need to be coming together, and they're trying to divide and conquer strategy, which is not what America needs right now. It may be good for their politics of their party, but at a time when America's economy is wobbly, I don't understand the strategy of trying to convince America that Washington needs more tax revenue.
So, David, what do you think about that? I mean, is this venturing into the area of class warfare?
It's not class warfare. Ronald Reagan didn't think it was class warfare when in 1982 he had the biggest tax increase in peacetime. So it's not a class warfare. It's a matter, as we have continually said, of shared sacrifice. We just went through a first round of cuts on spending. Now what Americans are asking is, how is it that I'm going to cut on my pension benefits and so forth when in fact, and we can't afford it supposedly, but we can afford to borrow money to pay for tax subsidies and loopholes for corporations that are enjoying all-time profits. That is not a strategy. That is the American people being informed about this and simply asking that question of their representatives, be they Democrat or Republican, and that in addressing from a balanced standpoint our budget situation, you got to look at revenues as well as spending cuts.
And it really is becoming the national narrative across the board with politicians out there on the campaign trail. Let's take a listen to Mitt Romney speaking at the Iowa Fair.
One is we could raise taxes on people. That's not the way. Corporations are people, my friend. We can raise taxes on. Of course they are. Everything corporations earn ultimately goes to people. So, where do you think it goes? What? Whose pockets? Whose pockets? People's pockets.
All right. So, David, I brought that out because you were just speaking to that corporations. What's your take on that?
My take is the American people are asking on corporations, why are they hoarding the $2 trillion that is sitting on the sideline? And the reason for that is because there was uncertainty on making the right decisions in addressing both revenue, as Standard & Poor's told us in the downgrade, as well as spending. This is not class warfare. This isn't one against the other. It's about all of us coming together. Right now, Republicans are talking about I and what I want for the richest people among us. What Obama is talking about and what Democrats are talking about is we. How are we all going to come together to deal with the challenges we're facing? And that's what it comes down to.
Justin, do you agree?
No, you're probably not surprised to know that I don't agree. I think that it's really remarkable that at this time the Democrats are not focused on jobs. The reason that one of the reasons those corporations are holding that money is because of uncertainty coming out of Washington. The Obama administration, regulatory environment, Dodd-Frank, Obamacare is a big reason for that. I think if you repeal Obamacare, you'll see corporations start to feel a little bit more flexible about doing that.
And
so the regulatory and tax things, and when you have leading Democrats in the White House and in Congress using this rhetoric against businesses and against corporations, of course they're gonna protect their shareholders' money, and that shareholder money is money that's in people's 401k plans, it's in retirement plans, the Florida pension plan, the pension plan of lots of employees, public employees I would add too, is invested in these companies.
Which you guys are cutting.
It doesn't help the retirement plans of any of these employees for Democrats in Washington to be talking down private business.
And David, I'll let you get the last word in here.
Sure. I'll say this. Time is running out for the Republicans in that the American people are getting educated as to having to address both revenue and spending. And secondly, their arguments are running out in addition to time. You know, they said that the Bush tax cuts would create jobs. They didn't do it during the Bush era, and they certainly aren't helping now. So we have to have shared sacrifice as well as stimulating the economy, which you'll hear from the president after Labor Day in announcing what he'll do to help stimulate the economy.
And it will be interesting to hear what he has to say. Thank you so much. Appreciate you both joining
Pleasure
us,
to be with
Justin
you.
Sayfie and David Mercer. Thank you.
Have a good
Thanks,
weekend.
Heather.
You too.